back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today we're looking at this lovely plant here, which I have misidentified for a couple of years until I sat down and did research on it. Even professionals like me can get something wrong, and I'm admitting that here on camera. I thought this plant for years was Quaking Oats. Not quite. Its scientific name is Chasmanthium latifolium, Northern Sea Oats. So I was close, sort of, but definitely no cigar. Anyway, it's in the Poaceae family, which used to be called Gramineaceae, and that is the true grass family. Alright. The name Chasmanthium comes from the words chasma, gaping, or chasm, which is our modern equivalent, and anthemum, meaning flower. Gaping flower, which sounds like a... Never mind. I was just going to say it sounds like a stripper name, but whatever. Latifolia means broadleaf. So gaping flower comes from... These are the flowers, and the seeds have not set yet, but they're shaped in a specific way, and they're spread out. They're very pretty in the fall. But anyway, my latifolia, the leaves are wide by certain grass standards, I guess, and that's where it came from. It's a very broad leaf. It is native to the eastern USA and northern Mexico. So this is a native species. Now, I want to point out that this plant appeared in the test gardens on its own volition. As far as I know, it had never been here, and I don't know how it got here. Not that I'm complaining. It's actually a very nice plant. It's a well-behaved native grass, and as some of you may know, I despise grasses in general. This one gets a pass because it actually does something and has a use, but I'll get to that in a moment. It's hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8, and as far as I can tell, the soil pH it prefers is 6.8. It is okay with poorly drained soils and will tolerate full sun if it has a wettish soil. Its exposure is noted to be full sun to partial, but it prefers partial unless it gets a lot of water. Well, this is partial, so the color of this is about the color it should be. Its height can be 2 to 5 feet tall. Now, mine are about going on the 3-foot range, 2.5. And I kind of let them do what they want because it's a grass that's pretty. And it doesn't take over. And unlike our crappy lawn grasses that America has a stupid obsession with, now I find out this is a native and it's supposed to be here, and I am encouraging it, and it is slowly spreading in a nice kind of way, but not taking over, which you can kind of respect. Its width can be 1 to 2.5 feet, which is okay by me. It's spread along this sidewalk, and I'm just letting it do what it wants. It doesn't get string trimmed, it doesn't get mowed, it just does what it wants. It doesn't have an AKA name, it's just known as Northern Sea Oats. It used to be scientifically known as, and I'm not sure how this is pronounced, Uniola latifolia. You got me on that one. Now, this is one of the few plants that tolerates the compounds that come off of black walnut foliage. So you can plant this around black walnuts in lieu of lawn grass and get a pretty grass effect with pretty seed heads in fall. It self-seeds and may supposedly spread aggressively, which this has self-sown and spread. But I'm not upset about this. As I mentioned, it's a winter interest ornamental because in some places it doesn't even drop foliage. It just it dries out. Either the foliage remains, the seed heads remain, or the foliage remains. But either way, it does well here in Zone 8B. It does attract birds and small mammals due to the large seeds. Now, those large seeds are of note because if you collect the seed in fall, the seed can be ground into flour because this is our native oat plant. Unlike actual oats, Avena sativa, which come from Europe and Asia, this one's from here. The stems and leaves are often used as nesting materials by birds in the spring. So you're supporting wildlife by growing this plant. And it can form dense, pretty clumps. And the best part is, in a gentle wind, the little seed heads sort of wiggle. It looks great. So that is Northern Sea Oats for you. And why do I recommend it? Well, again, native, that's always a win. But also, it is easy. It doesn't require much. It doesn't demand fertilizer. It's not picky about soil. It'll take the pH ranges that are endemic to your region. And in this case, it's growing in partial sun because it's behind a copse of dogwoods and kind of in front of the front property. But also, it can tolerate full sun if it's watered enough. So that gives it a versatility that you can use in landscaping. We need to use more native grasses in our landscaping as opposed to the crappy imported ones you know, uh, like fescue and centipede and zoysia and all that stuff. So, this is a plant you should consider. I'm not sure if nurseries sell it or not, but you may have to order the seed and then start it from seed. But we have a ton of it here, and I may or may not package it up in the fall for other folks to grow. So, with that said, that covers Northern Sea Oats, which I thought was Quaking Oats and was totally wrong. So, if you like this episode, please leave a comment. If you haven't already, hit like. If you haven't subscribed, it helps the channel. We're trying to grow to 500 and beyond. Hit up the Forage blog. And as always, folks, thanks for watching and keep them growing.